Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well today. Again, my webcam a bit washed out. Let me not too bad, but let's turn down the brightness a bit. But anyway, hope you're all having a great day so far today. Mine has been going pretty well. I don't know, I'm feeling a bit tired today, so I don't really want to work on the terrain system. It's just too thinking intensive, I guess. So I've had this like side project that every once in a while I'll tinker a few lines of code. And I know I've talked about wanting to update all of the old like game flow logic to use this new event system. And I thought, okay, well, why don't I work on that on stream, because it's pretty brainless. All I do is just go and update old scripts. So I've been slowly working through trying to get all the loading phase done, because like trying to work or update a project, like, I don't know the right term, I guess, all at once, it's hard to test things because like everything is interconnected. So I'm kind of just trying to start from the beginning, and we'll test the loading, and if that works right, we'll go on. I've probably done about half of the loading so far. But I guess I'll just show the main parts of this new system. Like before, I had all these complicated messages and everything, and it made the constructors feel really bloated. And this is like the main pattern now, so it's a lot simpler. I use a couple a few main objects to help me with this. First is that I have a new event queue. And it's very, very simple. All it is basically just a queue of events, and somebody or anybody can just add an event object to the queue. Now, normally when you queue something, it will actually go on this delayed list, and it won't actually be added to the event queue until the next frame. And that's so that we don't have to worry about anybody missing the events, because the event queue is cleared at the end of every frame. So, say for example, an object that wanted an event runs before the object that creates the event, it would never get that it would never see that the event was fired if it was added to the queue immediately. But if for some reason I do need to add something to the queue immediately, I have this special function there, but it should only be used sparingly. Okay, and then this is what flips or clears out the current queue and our current events, and then adds the delayed events. And then these are basically ways to see what events have been fired. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just loop through the events and just get the ones you're interested in. So you might think, well, this is a little inefficient, because for one, anybody that has to look for an event, first of all, has to loop through the entire event queue, and then has to do some reflection to see if it's a specific type. And yeah, that's kind of true, but this event queue will never have more than just a few objects in it at once. If it ever has a bunch of objects in it, then probably I would want to rewrite that code that generates so many events on the same frame. And secondly, if for some reason this reflection I see is super slow, then I can try to fix it using like a dictionary hash table or something instead of looping through the list. But I don't... Yeah, because then we'd only have to do reflection once instead of for every object in the queue. But yeah, so basically this is super simple, as opposed to the old system, which was very complicated. And then I also have a bunch of listeners that really just call one of these get functions and then call a callback. And so here we want to register this event exists listener for this specific event type. And then if an event is on the queue, then it would call refresh sending. Another thing that I use is I have a tickable list, which is really just a a sorted list of objects that need to be updated every frame. It's self-explanatory. It's kind of what I used before. And then, oh, what was the other thing? Oh yes, this context registry. This is, yeah, this does some kind of magic. Let me, yeah, this asset loading controller. So what it does here is you call this resolve function on the context, and it will actually create an instance of this type, calling the correct, or calling a constructor and passing these objects to it automatically. That's kind of how I, instead of having those like components, this is just a kind of simpler way so that I don't have to get component for everything I need. You might have heard of it. It's called I don't do this actually. There's this type of the right term, I guess, design paradigm is called dependency injection, and you might have heard of that before. Okay, it's like off center. Okay, that's a little better. And so for Unity, there's this I guess library called Zinject, which is a dependency injection class, and it's super, well, it's very powerful, but it's also very big, and it's way more than I need for this project. I've done some experiments with it. It just doesn't really work well with the way that I've structured the game logic, so I decided just to go with my own, and it's a lot simpler. Oh yes, and this bind class, our bind function, registers a certain object to this type, and that object is what would be passed to anything that's created in this resolve function. And you can have parents, and that lets you easily like dispose of a context registry without having to unregister things from bind. That's the main idea there. So that's really, those three classes are the main objects in this new flow system. And then I have this flow logic container, which is just an easy way to get a handle on events and a disposable list, and then the tickables. This is like a local ticking list, and that's mostly for event listeners. So anyway, okay, I guess I can't actually run the game yet because it's not completely compilable. I've been trying to keep everything like sort of compatible so that I don't have to go through and update all objects at once, but I think it's starting to get time that I need to start breaking some stuff. Okay, and so this is the main class for the game. Yeah, so I think I'll just comment these out and I'll update them when I need. Okay. So I'm gonna I haven't updated this server at all yet, so I don't want to completely break it. I'm gonna keep the old system there. I can get rid of that. Okay, and then this won't be an auto controller anymore. This will have no parent. Actually, what was this one's priority? This was set to I think it was 0. I can always come back and fix this if I see there's any errors. So these are basically the classes I've updated. These are still old. That. Okay, so I need to have some type of interface for the game here. Let me, yeah, this is really old. I'll just leave it for now, I guess. Sometime I'll have to come through and delete things I don't need. Anyway, oh yeah, I just need to create a new class. Guess I'll just call it, I don't know, a phase controller. I guess I could make a lot of this as a parent class, or make this a parent class of a lot of this. This is... okay, the disposable list I don't use anymore because that just turned out to be confusing. Okay, and then that's specifically for the asset phase, so... and then I'd have this abstract setup class, which won't really... it doesn't really do anything except let the subclass deal with this. And I need to... this is I ticking and I disposable. Okay, and I don't have to do anything here, so this can just be public abstract void tick. Oh, it doesn't even need to be abstract. I can just make it virtual, so something can override it if it needs to. And I guess this should be virtual as well, in case the child class needs to dispose. Alright, so what I should do is... tactical lizard tamer game should have a reference to a currently active phase controller. And then I need to make it possible to switch the active phase controller. I guess I can do it... okay, well maybe it should be public so that the UX can get a handle on this. Okay, so what I should do here is, before I set it, I need to dispose the old phase controller if it exists. And then phase controller equals new. And I wonder if it's... I need to wait a frame before I call this initialize or not. Or setup. Oh, I should also check to make sure that it's not null anymore. Or it's not null at this point. When it calls this dispose, should get rid of any leftover classes that are in this registered to tick every frame. The only problem I could see is that there'd be events left over in the queue that the new phase might accidentally pick up on if it needs anything. Well, we'll see. If there's a bug, then I'll need to wait 1 frame to call setup. But yeah, I guess I shouldn't try to worry about... I shouldn't worry about that unless it's actually a problem. Hi, Sukra. Oh, it's been a while. I think it's been a couple of months since I've seen you. Thanks for stopping by. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm making a game right now. Right now I'm just kind of going through and converting some old code to a new system I want to test out. A new like event and game logic framework, I guess you can call it. Not implement. Okay, well, I just need to call override, but I don't even actually need to have this because I think I have I don't need to have a reference to these things because the parent class has this stuff now. I guess I need to make this referenceable. You're a beginner in game dev and you prefer to illustrate? Yeah, art is really fun for me too. Lately I've been getting into 3D art. I was thinking about doing some of that today, but I don't know, I'm feeling like updating some of this code. Okay, so now I just capitalize that to use the context class, and then I should say override, and then I don't need this function because that's part of the parent class now. Oh, but it's probably private, so I need to just change this to protected so children classes can get it. What programs do you usually use, Sukra? Do you use or do you just draw with what's you call it, like physical art? Okay, so I still need this. I would override. Oops. Oh, it should be public override void. And then I need to call the base function just in case. Okay, so load next scene. I would just call phase controller. Oh, except this isn't actually a phase controller yet. So how about I just print a line here. Debug log ready to generate. Did I spell that right? Yeah, okay, it just looked weird to me. But it's hard for me to understand when you speak. English is not really very good, just enough to speak with the client and eventually make friends. Well, your English seems pretty good here in chat. But yeah, if you don't understand something I say, feel free to ask about it. I took a little French in high school and college. Unfortunately, I'm a bit rusty now, but I'd like to try to learn more someday. All right. Okay, I changed the way some of the code worked here, so it's complaining that this base class doesn't exist anymore, which is true. I think I might even just comment this whole class out. And I'll update it later when I get to the other phases. this will probably throw another error because it's going to say that this subcontroller doesn't, or this constructor doesn't exist, but that's okay. Okay, so yeah, now there's a bunch of errors because I went and changed the DLT game, which is pretty much the backbone of the game. Actually, I don't want to tag that yet because then there's going to be a million warnings throughout the game because almost every function uses, or almost every class uses one of these functions. Oh, okay. I don't actually care about this. I was experimenting with entity components earlier as well, but I really like entity component system coding, but it's like it's a little bit too complicated for the type of games that I'm making here. I think are not too complicated, but just not suited for a flow game, like a game flow architecture. That's a bit strange. Okay, so most of these are... Okay. We've got a bit to go through. Let's, that's a shame. I kind of like to test the game out now. But I think I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, I guess we'll just comment out a bunch of classes and hopefully the game will at least compile. And then I can test out what I've done so far. I've mostly done all of the asset loading up until this asset organizer right here, so it'll be good to test that. Okay, well, it's going to complain now that that tick function doesn't exist, so let's see. Okay. Okay, I might need to update these error messages sooner rather than later. Okay, I see what's going on here. So this is supposed to receive a message from the server. I don't really know how useful this class is. I want to leave this here. So I think I can... Yeah, there we go. So this is gonna... Again, I'm just gonna comment out some code so I can try and get the game to compile and test what I've changed so far. Oh, I see. Okay. I was trying to figure out why these are throwing errors because I've specifically made sure that this... Oh, thanks Wondable for hosting me. I really appreciate it. Any amount of viewers is very appreciated, so don't worry about that. But as I was saying, I've made it so this asset loading controller does not have this claim message function anymore, which is why this is throwing errors now. I was trying to remember because I thought I had specifically made it so this shouldn't be a problem yet, but it came time that I did have to update. Okay, I should just comment this whole thing out. Another message receiver. I'm not sure how I'm going to handle these yet. I guess I'll need to look at that class and see how in-depth it is. Oh, I thought I updated this already. I guess I forgot to send this error. Or send this function. Or not function, event. Okay, so it listens for the event, but I don't actually send it out yet. Okay, well I guess this is a good way to explain how you add something to the event queue. Pretty simple, actually. Yeah, that's all you have to do. Yeah, I'm trying to go with simplicity with this new framework. Okay, so now it's getting into stuff outside of the loading scene. Probably, yeah, again, because I changed the actual game object. I guess I will need to update these controllers because they run before asset loading. But they're all really hacky anyway because they're basically just testing things. Okay, so what did I call it? A TLT phase controller. Okay, create mode. Oh, I see. Okay, that's interesting. So how, excuse me, how would, let's create lobby game controller. Well, I guess I could call resolve with a context. I guess the context, I should just have a way to get a specific object out of it. For references are for things like this. Oh, I do already have it. I have this get. Okay, well, that's easy. So, okay, I have the context, so I just do context get, and so it'll get me this object registered in my connection state. What did I... Oh, that's actually part of the local connection now. Okay, and this every frame we would wait until we're connected. So I can update this by just doing local connection dot connection state. And once we're connected, we would... Okay, so game dot phase controller. And this doesn't work yet because the lobby controller hasn't been set up all the way. What does it not like? Doesn't... Alright, doesn't implement setup. Oh right, so I'm supposed to do this stuff. What does it really matter? I don't... This class doesn't really have any setup. But I guess to be good, you should call that function there. What is this first? Okay, well, I could just call this test create clients in the setup phase. Or in the setup function, so that way I don't even have to have this first thing. Okay, don't remember exactly what this does, but Alright, so now that's up to date. Let's just do the lobby controller real quick. It's a bit more complicated, but still relatively simple. And it's very hacky right now. So I need to change it so this stuff happens in the setup function. Okay, so change this to context.get. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Okay, so some of this might not have been created yet. Oh, and now I need to update the save file loader. Okay. This is probably gonna break more things, but how it goes. So, I guess the lobby controller. Well, no, because the lobby parameters is like spans the game, so I'll create it here. What am I doing? And the server face synchronizer, do I... Okay, well this actually works a little different. I used to, the server face synchronizer was kind of like a class that also held data, so I spun it off to have the separate data object that held the server state. And so nothing gets a hold of this class, which is fine because it's not needed. And then this event is fired when the state changes, and then this event is fired to tell this class to try to synchronize with the server. So now I still need this. So server phase state. Okay, and the save file loader I need to update as well. That was actually pretty easy. Get rid of that. Okay, so I'll do something similar to the table of contents loader with a save file loader. First I need to resolve it, which basically creates a new instance in case the save file loader needs any objects that are in here. And then I bind it to the context so other classes can now get a handle on it. Okay, so that's takes care of that. I guess I'll delete that because now it's taken care of. Okay, so I've used this class before, but I haven't updated it really. All it does is that when you dispose of it, it unregisters this network message handler, so I think it's fine as is. Okay, but I don't have this activatable list anymore. I do have disposables though. And then this is an event listener, so I would just add okay, the phase controller doesn't have this. Okay, so I would just, because this the phase controller is not really supposed to listen to events, but again, since this class is a little hacky, I guess I do right now. Okay, so let's do this a little differently. So okay, oh, it's synchronizing to when when the server has when we've received the phase that the server is at. Okay, so all I do, get rid of this. If events, wait, can't I get the events from? Oh, well, I have a reference to the game, so game.events has server state change. So it's asking if this event has been fired this frame, then I would call on get phase. And then it tests to see if it actually cares about it at this point. Okay, so this is sync dot main phase. Okay, that's just a simple renaming of that variable. Okay, so here we're actually trying to request this phase from the server. So instead of calling this function, I just fire an event. New server phase synchronize command. Okay, and then here it's trying to load a new controller. I don't need to call that myself anymore. Anyway, it should be before anyway. Okay, well that's good. So now, theoretically, I'm ready to play and actually test the game. But I'm sure there's other errors I need to fix before that's actually possible. Let me... Yeah, so here, I just want to... So I don't need to call dispose myself anymore. Although I guess I should call it here since I have this debug thing. I don't actually set a new controller. So let's let this recompile and see what other errors show up. Okay, there's still a bunch. I just gotta go through and comment out stuff. And also, yeah, I'm working on a separate branch to do this, so if we ever needed to go back to the other game, or the other version of the game where it actually works, it's really easy to get back to that. That's the power of, oh, what's it called? I can't think of the name. Source control. So when I comment out this stuff, I need to make sure that I remember that when I actually come back and update these classes that I need to make that comment work. So if there's any other comments in the class, I should probably delete them, or at least tag ones that need to be updated. Like this, I'll delete. There's still more in Flow Manager. Oh, right. Okay. Because, yeah, you don't get this from the synchronizer class itself. You have to use that new state class. Yeah, just fun commenting out for now to try and get the game to actually run soon. Oh yeah, this lobby parameters isn't a component anymore. We're probably going to change the way that works anyway. It looks a bit messy. Oh right, I don't like the way the subcontrollers work actually, so I don't know, we'll see. Oh, there's a lot more in that class. Oh yeah, because I changed the way a bunch of this netcode stuff works. For the better, but... Okay, I'm afraid that if I comment that whole thing out, I'm gonna forget that this is actually needed. It's gonna complain to me that it's unreachable, but that's okay. Oh yeah, there's more in here. Yeah, well, okay, well, I don't know. We're gonna get, like, we're not gonna be able to really use these warnings because there's gonna be so many of them from classes I haven't updated yet. A bit of... problem. Obviously, if this was like an actual game with a deadline, doing something like this is not a good idea, but I'm using this game as a... well, it is an actual game, but I mean a game with a deadline that you're going to release at some specific point in time. Going through and updating the engine like this is not a good idea. But I'm using this game kind of to test out new things, and I really don't like the engine that I had before, so I want to go through and try and update it. And I don't think it's really not really going to take that long. But there's a possibility that doing this is going to introduce a bunch of bugs. It's going to be difficult to test, so even after I've updated all these classes, we're going to have to go and look for bugs, so it will be fun. Okay, so do I need to update this title controller? Well, it's really small, so might as well. I even forgot that it existed so far. I think all that happens is it just immediately creates another controller, but... okay, so nothing happens there. I don't need to call dispose anymore. There we go. And okay, so the game link. This just creates the controller, so I just need to rename this to phase controller. Yeah, we don't need to be past that anymore. I don't really care about input at this point. So, comment all that out. And, oh, we're almost done. Do I even use this? Oh, I see what's going on. Okay, well I won't... Let me see, do I even need to use this? All it has... a bunch of these functions. Okay, well I guess, yeah, I don't really want to delete this because then a bunch of scripts will need to be just completely gutted for now, and I'd rather wait until I actually am ready to update them. So yeah, I think I just won't set this so they'd throw an error. Except, well, we can see. When I play the game, they're going to throw an error immediately because there are these classes that are set up in Unity. Okay, and now we have a bunch of warnings, which unfortunately I can't actually use because it's mostly stuff that I just went through to try and get the game to compile. But let me just look through here for anything that's in the loading namespace, because that's what I'm actually working on right now. Okay, well that hasn't been updated. Synchronizer is assigned but not used. Oh, well, I will use it later. I think. Oh yeah, right here. Okay, so it looks like those are the only loading things. So now I can actually play the game, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna throw an error right away. Yep. Because anything that uses the beluga mono behavior, the game is set to null. And there are a couple that do that right now. Alright, so I can't just leave it how it was. No, it doesn't override anything, it's just function from mono behavior, but I want to set it to virtual so that my children can also use the start function. I'll still get the Lizard Tamer game. I guess the question is, I don't know what this class should do. Well, I'll wait and see. It needs to be able to register the event listeners mainly. Okay, so now when I go back into Unity, there's going to be a fresh set of errors for me. Yeah. That's not as bad as I thought. Sorry if you hear my dog. So I think, yeah, I can get away with just commenting out the things in the start function. Although anything that also has an update... Yeah, okay, well it's going to be set to null right there, so that's okay, I guess. Most of these I'll come back to soon. Just a couple more. I'm trying to avoid commenting things out, but fortunately there's no way to update that without being destructive. Because now when I want to come back and test certain, or like see anything that claims a specific component, it's gonna be, well, it won't show up in the list obviously because it's commented out, but I think it'll be kind of obvious that something's not working, so hopefully I'll be able to find the function from there. Oh, one other thing. Oh, I forgot to do that. I don't even know if this is used anywhere, but... Okay, so now I think it'll compile again. Okay, so hopefully now when I press play, we'll get an error that would actually show me something. Okay, so now the stuff might be happening, but I don't know it. Yeah, obviously there's no terrain yet. Has any of this been generated? No, because this all happens during the asset organizer. Okay. Oh, I know one thing I could do. Let's, oops. So I'm going to set a script defined symbol here so that I can turn on my event queue debugging. I have this events debug, and whenever I define this to true, then it basically will print out a bunch of logs about whenever something uses or has fired an event, and that's a good way to kind of tell the flow of the game. One other thing I need to do, I guess. I think the only thing that uses an event queue right now is the main game. Okay, it's kind of frozen. I guess it's compiling everything. Okay, there we go. I need to go back here, and I just want to name Visual Studio. Are you okay? Oh, I thought my game was, or my computer was crashing again, but it says Visual Studio being really slow. Okay, I guess I'll need to remember that changing a define signal is super slow in Visual Studio. Is it like going through every script or something? We'll just let it do its work. I don't know, it's... Oh, you guys can't see the bottom bar because of the avatars, but right now it's like counting through a bunch of lines. Okay, I guess it's done now. Anyway, I was trying to find this object, and I just wanted to set our name this event queue, so if events debug. Okay, on this code, if you have this number sign event, that means that this code only runs if this symbol has been set to true. So event queue dot debug tag equals global. So now hopefully when I play, we'll see a bunch of events being fired, and we can kind of tell what the game is doing. No, nothing is happening at all. Oh, did I? Okay, this game link loader, I think I commented everything out so it doesn't actually do anything. Oh no. It should do something. Debug log. Let's see if this is ever actually called. Okay, so the title controller is created. Oh, you know what? I think it's this tick is never registered. So well, I guess it should. I kind of want it to run first, or do I? Let's see. Let's make another ticking priority. Okay, so I'd like the controllers to run after the networking, but before anything else. So I guess I'll just have a new phase controller thing right here. So it's all about this to kind of clear out this top bar. So here when I'm setting it up, okay, I guess here I dispose it and then I need to remove it from the tickables list. Okay, so now it should be called when I call this. Okay, so now we got some errors, but we actually got to the create lobby controller. Object reference not set to an instance. Let's look and see. The local connection has not been created. I probably just need to create it up here. Context.bind new local connection. There'll probably be a lot of that because the old system, things were created on the fly, which was sort of nice, but I like this way, or this new way better because I have control over how the object is created. Like, that was kind of an issue before. Some more null references. Date. Oh yeah, this is... Did I not update this? Oh, I did. It's just I still have the state claim. Why did I leave that? What was that actually? No, that's still true. I don't want this game flow logic anymore. So on connect, is it even? Oh, it's called. Yeah, it's a callback from Unity. Why did I say Lunity? Okay, so it's checking the current state, which I can get from the local connection. I don't even have a reference to that. Didn't do a very good job updating this, did I? Okay, I did update that. This is just an old debug thing. I'll get rid of that. So I don't need to cast it anymore, which is another good thing about this new system. You don't have to always cast enumerations to integers anymore. So where I change it here, connection state. Do I already do this once? Oh no, I don't. I didn't update any of that. Let's actually make a helper function. Void set connection state. So first I would set the state here, and then I need to fire an event. What is it? My connection state change. Does it have any? I don't know if it has any. Oh, it has from and to. Okay. Then I guess I'll do that afterwards. From state is local connection state, and to state is what I'm going to change to. And then I'll set it there. It doesn't matter because unlike the old system where when you fired an event, any listeners received it immediately, that doesn't happen anymore. So that also fixes an old bug that I used to always have where an event would be fired while it was still firing, if that made any sense, and that would cause a whole bunch of problems. That's not an issue anymore. Okay, so now I just call set connection state here. I just gotta update all these things. Any time that I'm switching that state claim, I can just switch that out with here. So yeah, a lot of this work, I'm not actually changing the logic. I'm just kind of changing the way that it is. Just like refactoring names and everything. A couple places I have actually changed the logic because I knew I wanted to update them, so I thought why not two birds with one stone, but okay, so now a bunch more stuff happened. We see some events. The server is starting even, so event received. Okay, so my connection state change. I can even do a toString to actually see these state changes. I might do that. Okay, so override toString. Okay, what I should think of like some common format for events. Oh, it doesn't really matter. My connection state change. Then from state to state. Okay, while I'm thinking about this, I think I'll update a couple other events like this. I had, well, the only other one I've really updated is the loading phase. Guess I could do the server synchronized too. Okay, except this one, the information is not stored in the event. Okay, well, if I need to do that, I can update it. But anyway, so yeah, so we queued this event on frame 1, and then on frame 2, certain things are referencing it, are retrieving it. Okay, but it doesn't actually tell like what is reacting to it. Oh, except I can get that from... Oh, I was gonna say I can get that from the call stack, but actually not because it uses this listener. Okay, well that's something I'd want to fix. Let me see. What I'd like to do is have some stuff that I can add in here, but that only is compiled when I have this events debug. I think this listener. Okay, how do I want to do this? Guess that's fine. Wait, what's up with my cursor? There we go. Okay, so this is got latest. And then retrieved. Okay, well I guess we just use retrieved for the other ones. Okay, so now I need to set this listener, and I guess I think the easiest way to do that is if I go to the, where is it? Flow logic container. This before we actually call the tickables, since most of them are just event listeners. Okay, and I'll just call get type toString. Or maybe I should just call the actual toString. Oh right, and then I need to make sure this is only during event debug. Then afterwards I should set it to null. Okay, so that won't help. Well, most things do use this flow logic container. This one does not though, so I might as well update it. Because I created this after I'd already updated a couple objects. That way I wouldn't have to save this reference anymore. Okay, yeah, I use this old way to listen to events, so I can just, might as well just use the new event listeners. Oops, I don't know why Visual Studio is being so slow today. So this one get latest, so I guess I need to use the latest event listener. Okay, so the callback. First I need to actually pass the events. Something like that. Oh, I'm missing the if statement. Okay, I was wondering why or what I had gotten so wrong there. Oh, I need one more parenthesis. Okay, I see what's happening. And then I need another one that's just an event exist listener. Server async command. Then we just call that function whenever that event exists. Okay, and so now I don't even need to have a tick function in here. Okay, so I wonder if there's any other classes that I should update. That okay, that already has the flow logic. This I haven't updated at all yet. That one's good. That might be the only thing actually. Okay, so anyway, now that that's updated, we'll get a little better debug lines here, I think. Okay, so event queued. Oh, so when I queue an event, well, if I really need to, well, this is a little better because I can actually look at the call stack and see where it's queued. Yeah, so here it says server facing, retrieve this on global. And seeking to validating. Okay, and then we pass something to the server, so that looks all fine. And then event queued, server validation result received. Okay, so we do get into the lobby fine. Where's the error? Array index out of range. Contacts registry resolve. For the mod load manager. Okay, so we get all the way to the asset loading controller actually, but for some reason it's not resolving correctly. Okay, LM. There we go. Does it not like internal? Does it have to be public? Get constructors. Binding. Flags. So it can be public or non-public. Okay, so I guess it didn't find a constructor because it was not set to public. But I can't set it to public, I think, because then some of these, the game would complain, because I think the state, for example, is not public, it's just internal to this namespace. So I kind of like to leave it like that. Hopefully this binding flags will take care of that. I know it's possible to get non-public functions. Ooh. Right, index out of range. Have it on the save file. let's try this. I'm kind of just like taking shots in the dark because I don't know exactly what these flags mean. If we get a bug again, I guess I'll need to go do some research. Oops, still got that error. Okay, so let's look this up. System well, I guess I should just look up get constructors on the Microsoft Developer Network. Okay, specifically I want this one. Oh, I didn't know they changed it. But anyway, this is fine. Bitmaps comprise one or more binding flags to specify how the search is conducted. An array of constructor info objects representing all constructors defined on the current type, including type initializer. If it's defined, returns an empty array of type constructor info if no constructors are defined. Okay, so I guess I need to look up binding flags. Oh, is it this instance that I need to add? That might be the issue. So what is default? Default. Oh, okay, it doesn't actually. So I want, I guess, instant, public, and non-public. I don't want static, because I'm going to create a new instance. Okay, move that down so I can see the whole line. Hopefully that will fix the issue. Okay, it's still compiling. Okay, yeah, that did work. Okay, so now we've actually started loading assets. And so far so good. Okay. Did we actually start doing a ready check? I don't know. Server sync to load assets. Oh, I was getting confused. Forgot to change this. This should be loading phase. Let's try this again. I think I might get rid of a bunch of these asset loading things. Let's hide them behind define. So if asset loading debug. It's not gonna work. Be pretty for me. Let's just search for debugs on this object. Oh, I don't have to do that. Okay, I've got them all there. I know that there's some more. Like this. Oh, that's still the mod load manager. Now it's gonna compile. Okay, so that's... Okay, that's an event listener. Okay, I wish that there was a quicker way to do this, but... Okay, well there it actually indented for me correctly. Okay, so that... What class is this? Asset loader. I guess I'll just look through the other ones for debugs. What has one there? Okay. That might take care of most of them. There might be a couple others which I'll catch now. Because I really just care about the logic flow and not so much loading assets, because asset loading works pretty well so far. Oh, I did miss some. Asset bundle, finished loading. Unplay now because, yeah, it's gonna have to recompile. That's XML to the Lua. Should have, yeah, a similar debug log. Okay, and then this. I think that's it. Okay, so anyway, let's try it one more time. Okay, there's one more. I'm not gonna save it because then I'll have to recompile everything. So ready check manager reacted to ready check setting change on global. Did we actually send a ready check yet though? I don't know what that's about. It's main phase loading, so event queue loading phase, none to server sync. And then sync command. Okay. Yeah, that's just listening. Okay, so I did do a ready check, but that shouldn't happen until after everything's loaded. Yeah, something. Okay, yeah, so the ready check I think is a little broken. I'm looking for the ready check received event. I'll just do a 2-string for this. Oops, actually, have it on insert mode. Ready check receive event, and then I'll just pass the type. Okay, and this change, it'd be nice if I could get the contents of ready check settings at this point. But then I have to actually pass that through. I think. I can't get the parent class, can I? Well, I guess one thing I could do is that when I actually send this, well, this already does debug something, doesn't it? Oh, I don't need these warnings right now. Ready check manager base reacted to ready check settings on global, but didn't actually send anything, I guess. Okay, so maybe what is happening here is it's just when this is set to active, it doesn't actually do anything. Let me see. Well, there are a couple of problems here actually, because as far as I can tell, this should not be running. So maybe it is working fine. And what should actually happen? Oops. Oh yeah, I need to delete that. Is once every bundle is complete, then it should move on to doing a ready check. So maybe that is what's happening, but I'm just getting confused. Okay, yeah, so it's not actually running. It's just like for some reason that change event is firing. Let me look at that. The loading. Oh, I see. So it just fires the event even if it's not even supposed to do anything. Let's see. So private, dual, active, or last active equals RC settings. Oh, I don't need the private. That's what it's complaining about. Active. And oh, this is gonna like okay, I guess I've got to do it this way. And ready. Check type. Last type equals RC settings. Dot. Oh yeah, also once I've received it, I need to be sure to set this to inactive again. This is a bit fiddly. Probably once the ready check is received, the ready check manager can just go ahead and set itself to inactive. It does anyway, but the settings don't update. Active is false. So yeah, I don't need to do this because it's assumed. Probably also when I dispose of this, I should reset these settings. So let's do that. Dispose, RC settings, type. And if it is active, then I'll need to throw in a new event. Okay, let's see here. Private void set active. Okay, let's see. So if RC settings.active does not equal active or dot or active and RC settings type does not equal assets loaded. Because if either of those are true, then we need to change something. Yeah, I'm just trying to, I can already tell that at some point this is going to be messed up and that I'll accidentally leave the ready check settings active even when this object is finished or disposed. Yeah, so if we change this or it's active and the type should be changed. Then we go through those. Yeah, because if it's inactive then the type doesn't really matter, so that's fine. Okay, so I can change this to just set active, date, phase, complete ready check. And then on dispose, I would just set active false. I guess I can go ahead and call set active false here, even though it's not technically needed, but it won't generate another event. Might as well call it here as well, in case it's left over from something else. Anyway, so okay, that should get rid of some of these extra events being called that aren't needed. I think the actual problem here of why the game freezes is I don't think anything ever reacts to the assets being finished. Okay, so look here. The assets are all done once check complete returns true, which is when there's no more keys waiting. So let me just do a debug log here. Well, I don't really need to because I'm going to throw an event. I'll just create a new event up here, and yeah, I'll get rid of some of the stuff that I don't need anymore. Doesn't need to be public either. We'll just fire this event when our work is done. Okay, and now the flow controller. Where is it? Here. Okay, so yeah, I didn't update it for this mod load complete, so I'll just call tickables, add new mod load manager. Oop, I did that wrong actually. This should be event exists listener. And then I'll just use on mod load complete. But this function is commented out, so I just need to go find it down here and fix it up. So then I'll switch to this, which we don't handle yet, but at least I'll know that it's working. Let's go ahead and test that. So down here at the end we should get a mod load complete, and then the game will freeze because I haven't done any more than that. Okay, so there's a bunch of listeners, master asset loader, loading phase. Okay, well this does not work. Well, obviously it's not working. It doesn't even queue the mod asset loading complete. So what I would guess is oh, where's the class? One of the loading keys is not being deleted. Let's debug log requests. So I'll just leave. I'll do this and see if there's anything left over in there. Then I need to go look through the asset loaders and see where it might have gone wrong. Oh, okay, that code's not even being called. Why would that be? Oh, this is the wrong tick function. I knew that that was going to happen to me at some point too. Because since this used to have a float argument, it doesn't tell me that I'm overriding a previous function. So yeah, that's going to be, I'm sure that's going to happen to me a bunch of times. Okay, so now I'm getting some problems. Mission failed, canceling. Oh yeah, this happens when there's an error. Let me see. Yeah, Unity doesn't like it when I stop loading an object in the middle of it, I think, but I don't see any actual error from the game besides this. Okay, I did switch to organize assets, but it must have gone too soon because there's some stuff still loading or something. Unity is not very descriptive with this stuff. Loading, load coroutine on the asset loader. So something happening on line 87. If disposed. Okay, so if it's disposed, it doesn't like me to. Okay, this is weird. This shouldn't happen because it's obviously got disposed before it's done. I don't think it likes me to try to access this asset before. Okay, so what I've got to do is if we're disposed, I still can't like exit right away. Okay, so I've got to, like, we can't exit So, yeah, it's kind of weird. It has to load the asset first, and then I can destroy it. Also, I don't delete the asset if it's already loaded. I guess because it assumes that something else does. Okay. Okay, I see what happened. What's happening? So it disposes the asset loader, and then if the asset's ready and the asset's not null, then it destroys it here. So I think the issue was that I was trying to call this asset when it wasn't ready, and so Unity was going crazy. But when does... So if I dispose something and it's inactive, which means it's already been put into the database, I guess I don't dispose it at that point. Oh, I think I have that asset destroyer object that does this, but okay, so I commented that whole thing out. Not even used, maybe. Oops, I'm looking for this. You know, it's not there. So that just clears everything. I'm trying to see if we have to exit. What? Nothing actually disposes of objects that have already been created, I think. That actually might be something that I had put as a note to do later. Yeah, we know that. Update, clean up mod loading. I need to do that. Asset organizer, I'll do that soon. Asset load from file. Okay. Get all dependencies. Use asset bundles before any assets. Okay, that's a little different actually. This is due to accessing what is it? Loader dot asset when is ready. It's false. Okay, so I don't see where I dispose of any assets, like due to an error. Why did I comment out this whole class? Okay, maybe I should... Okay, well I don't actually handle errors, so maybe I should do that before I go any further. I don't want that, I want the flow controller. So I have this dispose all assets, but I don't think I actually do anything with it yet. Well, I have... Yeah, I just queue it. Oh. This does listen to it. How come it doesn't show up? Oh, I guess before I was looking at the constructor, not the actual type. Okay, so this is getting fired. Because, yeah, the connection changed to disconnect. Oh no, what's happening? Let me see here. For some reason it's getting disposed before everything is done, I guess. Oh, because the phase... Okay, so I guess it's advancing phase before it's ready. That doesn't make any sense. Alright, okay. So I need to think of a better way to deal with this. I think everything is kind of messy. Let me just make a new page here. So this will be new events. Okay, so loading. I need... let's... I think that's a header. Okay, so think of better way to control loading assets. So I need to know when assets are loading and complete, and then have a way to dispose assets that are unused as opposed to disposing all on an error. So maybe when I use an asset I should tag it as used. So yeah, when an asset is used, tag it so it will not be disposed when exiting. And then of course on an error then we would clear all tags. On an error, clear all tags. Okay, and then load asset bundles correctly. I think I'll just copy and paste what I wrote here. And then also when disposing I need to deal with this. It should be fixed whenever I do this. Yeah, so I might change a bunch about the loading. We could do this. I don't really think it matters that much because it's not very slow. And I'm going to definitely do this when I do the asset organizer, but I'll wait. And exceptions, yeah. Guess I'll have a little note for asset organizer and then exception enums. Alright, but I think this is a pretty good place to stop, and yeah, I need to leave right on time today because I've got a busy day. We're actually might get a new kitty today, so we're gonna see about that. That'll be kind of fun. And also, I'm gonna have guests over for the weekend, so I probably won't be able to stream tomorrow, Friday, or Monday. And not in the weekend like normal, but... So, I guess I'll see you Tuesday at the latest. I might be able to Monday. I'm not sure exactly when their plane flight is out. But yeah, we'll see. But anyway, thanks everybody for coming by. We did something a little different today. We'll get back to the terrain soon because, I mean, it's fun to do. It just takes a lot of thinking to try and plan out all those meshes and geometry. So I wanted to do something a little bit more, I don't know, just by the numbers. Although this asset stuff is starting to make me have to think too much. But yeah, feel free to follow me here on Twitch or on my Twitter to be notified when I go live, which should be Tuesday at noon Eastern time. I also have a YouTube channel where you can check out any video that you might have missed if you're curious, and a Discord server where you can chat with me throughout the day. I'd love to have you there. I'll put links to all that in chat, or you can look in my video description if you're watching from YouTube. And yeah, I guess that's it for me. So yeah, have a great weekend on Friday, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.